So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for joining our analytic Tableau user group. We will have another meeting in December, but let's go through today first. So the analytic Tableau user group is it's a little bit special. We met every month. At least this year we met every month. Usually we skipped August, I think, but this time we have been very thorough. So we always speak about, guess what, analytics in Tableau Desktop, Tableau Prep, or as data, or web edit. I think that we should rename as data because it has been renamed multiple times now. But yes, it's always around analytics and how we can improve our analytics skill in Tableau. Make sure you subscribe using the QR code, and you will receive the new, each time a new event is scheduled. So on the next slide, yes, so TUG leader are like Prasan, who is here today, Shimdi, who cannot be there today, but will be there in December, and myself. So we have a short introduction of everyone. So myself is Annabelle Rincon. I'm a Tableau visionary and Tableau ambassador. I have worked as a Tableau enablement analytic lead. I have discovered Tableau 10 years ago, and I fell in love immediately. Yeah, I have 6 views of the day, but it's nothing in compare of what you will see Shimdi and Prasam had. I'm also co-leading the, apart from co-leading the Analytic TUG, I am co-leading the Data Plus Women webinar to promote women working with our own data, and an enablement webinar every month. And I love baking. So let's see if I bring some of my cakes at the next Tableau conference. And then maybe, Prasam, you can introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. This is me, Prasan Prem. I started my journey in 2020, and I'm working currently as a manager data visualization at Emirates NBD. It has been great since I dived from being a mechanical engineer to being a Tableau developer, and it has been 5 years. I completed 5 years this October in analytics and data industry, and it has been so great and fulfilling as well. Most of the time I have been on LinkedIn, and that's where I created all my community, as well as I met so many people. I love data art, and just for VOTDs, because we are going to see the next slide for sure. And 3 things. I just love cats, food, anime, and happy to talk about any of them. You can send me so many reels on Instagram as well if you want.
And then we have Chimdi, is a visionary and ambassador. He does freelance and contract data visualization for clients in retail, media, and higher education and finance. He fell in love in 2020 with Tableau, and he has 15 views of the day. Often we mention the number of views of the day because at the end of year quiz, that's one of the questions. So that's why you have to keep touch with some data. He also co-lead Makeover Monday and participates alongside other challenges. It's a very source of inspiration what Shimdi is doing. You should definitely check it out in Tableau Public. And otherwise, for today, you just have to enjoy. The event is being recorded. Please ask your question live and take this opportunity to ask your question. And yes, please use the Q&A, so we are sure that it's a question otherwise on the chat. Sometimes we get lost. Oh, Carmen, I will definitely check out this New York City for croissant. Definitely good. So today, we apologize, we have a little change of plan. We will have Jim, who is here. He will present fun ways to tackle 6 tough problems. Then we will have Varun that will show some of his dashboard that he have done. But Chris couldn't make it today. He has like a big emergency, so we'll be there another time. But if everyone agree, I can open at the end of these 2 presentations this event as a breakout session. That's a possibility.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so now I'm here to present our amazing speakers. And first we have is Jim. You can follow him on X by the handle Market Analytics 5. Before I go through and also read through his profile, I just want to say he is my first mentor from DataFam when I started back 5 years. So thanks so much, Jim, for being there for me, not just for analytics and helping me solve the problems, but for helping me navigating through this journey. And he is an independent consultant and owner at Market Analytics LLC. He's a 5-time Tableau visionary, 8 times Tableau Forums ambassador, and he has been one of the person who has the most points on Tableau Forums. And he also co-leads one of the biggest user groups, that's Newbie User Group, and also leads Nashville Tableau User Group. Already said he has answered thousands of questions, and that's why he's the one who has the most points out there. Do check his website. I really recommend that, and always share some of the blogs I really love, like Zero to Zen. There's more. So do check his website. That's jimdehner.com. And there's something also interesting that he's doing, that he's collaborating with Tableau to develop an educational initiative that is aiming to introduce data visualization to kindergarten to grade 12 students. That's really interesting. We would love to hear more about that, Jim. And he's here to talk about fun ways to tackle 6 tough problems. That's all. Over to you, Jim.
Okay, very good. First, I want to show off the T-shirt. And if you notice, this is the new logo for the ambassador program. Now, a lot of you are going to DataFam Europe next week, or 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks from now. When you see somebody walking around DataFam wearing one of these T-shirts, take a moment, go up and greet them, talk to them. They'd love to hear about you. They'd love to hear your story, and just have a good time there. But this is the new shirt for all the ambassadors, and check them out at DataFam. I'm going to share my screen now. Let's see. And this is the one we want. Okay. First of all, thanks for letting me speak with you today. What I want to talk about are topics or problems that keep, and I see them on the forum and I see them in social media. And some of them are rather difficult problems. Others are not so difficult if you know how to solve them. But I'm going to take a look at 6 problems that keep coming up over and over again. And we're going to start the top end and other problem. You might have a data set and you might have done this yourself. You want to know the top 3 in a category, and then you want to take everybody else in the category and lump them into a group and call that group other. So you got the top 3 another, the top 4 another. And I'm going to show you a couple different ways of doing that today. The first way is a relatively simple, straightforward way, and we're going to do that with sets. And the data that I'm going to use today in most presentation, Superstore data, that's the same data you got with your copy of Tableau, and you can follow along, or you can reproduce this on your own data set. I'm just going to open up a set on categories that I created, and just go over here to the top tab, and we're going to create that top N using a parameter. And this parameter is just an integer parameter. There's nothing special about it. I have it set to 3. But what I want to see is the top 3 values independently, and I want to group everything else into other. So we're going to keep that. And using that parameter, I've created a set, and we're going to put that set up here. And we can see that we've got the in values are these 3, and then we've got all the out values of the set. All your data into 2 groups, what's in the set and what's out of the set. So all these out values, we want to group them together. And I've created a second calculation here. to put a label on these individual subcategories. And all this says is, look, if the subcategory is in the set, use the subcategory name, otherwise call it other. And we can just drop this up here on subcategory. And we're beginning to get the idea. I got categories and I got other. Well, if we just pull this off here, we've got what we were looking for. We've got the top end and other, and we can look at the top 3 values, or we could look at the 4 values or whatever, using our parameter. Now that's pretty simple to do. And what happened, a lot of users come back and they say, hey, look, I've got another dimension that I want to work with. And the dimension I'm going to use here is the year of order date. And I'd like to see the top 3 or the top 4 in each one of the years. And then I want to group everything else into other. And the first thing we have to recognize is that the top 3 in like 2025 would be phones, chairs, and binders, but that's not the same groups as in 2024, which are phones, chairs, and tables. So we've got to go about this a little differently. We just can't use a set like we did before. I like to use LODs, and I've created this LOD that...
Excuse me, Jim, when you are sharing your calculated window,
all this does is it takes a look at the year of the order date level. You can't see the window.
The calculation window. Is it on the same screen?
It's on the same screen.
Maybe you can share your entire, reshare your screen. And
sure let me do that. Good idea. Good idea. Good idea. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to reshare. I didn't realize that was going to be an issue. And we're going to do the entire screen. We're going to do that. Okay. And let's go back. Can you see it now?
Now we can.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Oh, don't worry.
You know, I have often said I'm pretty good at Tableau, but when it comes to technology, that's an entirely different story. Okay. So what we're going to do in this example, just to recap, we're going to use the top. We're going to get the top 3 in each one of the years, and I'm going to start by using this LOD, and I've got the year of the order date in the subcategory and the sum of sales. And with that, I'm going to come back and I'm going to use a ranking function on that, and I'm just using a rank unique, and we're going to take a look at that LOD that we just calculated, and I want to calculate those descending. Now I'm going to take that one step further. What I want to do is kind of recreate that set idea, and what we're going to do here is if the rank of the subcategory in each year is less than or equal to the parameter value, or in this case, the top 3 values, then we want to return a true. Otherwise, we're going to return a false. And we can start using this calculation somewhat like we use the set. First, I'm going to create some labels. And
Jim, we have a problem with the sound. We lost you. Yes.
If this true false value is whatever, and if the returns a false,
sorry,
use other.
We get we lost you. We lost you for. Can you?
You lost
again.
You lost my voice, or you lost what?
Yeah, we lost your voice and you got freeze.
Okay, am I back with you again?
Yeah, but maybe you can remove your camera. Maybe you have a low bandwidth today. I don't know.
Okay.
Now we can hear you.
Now you can see me, and you can hear me.
See you and hear you well.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Very good. Once we've identified the categories, and once we've given them a label, we can send other together. All I've done is I've taken that label that I created and I've dropped here on rows. We can top 3 in each year. And what we'd like to do is we'd like to see these 3 individual totals for the top 3 subcategories. And then for other, we're going to take the annual total minus these individual total for the top 3 to get us the total in the other category. And we're going to start doing that by using this table calculation to give us a sum of the 3 values here. And all this says is if that true false, and it'll give us the top 3 by using the window sum, and then we can use that in another calculation. And all this does is says, look, the top n categories, then show us the sales. If not, take the fixed value for the yearly sales minus that window sum that we just calculated, and that'll be our total for the other category. And it starts looking like this. So we've got our 3 values, and this is the value that we'd like to see for our other. And we can just add a show hide calculation, which is a table calculation. And all this does is it says, look, if that value, if last equals 0, if it's the last value in our table here, the last real table, show it, and or else if it's from the top n value, show it, and if not, then hide that. And once we do that, we've got something that looks like this. If we were to look at, all I did was put in the show hide calculation, and then I filtered it for the show values. So now we've got our top n and other, and we can get our top 3 values or 4 values, and that broken down by year, which was exactly what our users wanted to see. Annabelle, can you still see me and hear me?
Yes.
Okay, we're going.
It was
we're going
very
to,
clear.
We're going to the next. We're going to the next one now. Okay, we get a lot of users that ask us questions. They'll come out and they say, "Hey, look, I've got a trend line or a trending calculation, and I'd like the user to be able to break it down at different levels. I'd like to be able to look at the day level, the week level, or the year level, the month level. How can I do that? And how can I make that happen?" Well, once again, I'm going to show you 2 different ways of doing this. The first way is really straightforward. All I've done is I've taken, and I'm using the order date here, I've just taken the order date and I've placed it on columns as a continuous exact date. And with that, I've also placed it on a filter. And one of the filter options that you may or may not have used is browse period. Okay, and I've selected browse period as the filter option. And how this works is it starts by looking at today's date and then works backwards from that date. Today's the November the 20th, and it looks back, and I'm looking at 1 month value, so it'll go back all the way 1 month to look at the October 22nd is the first date in the data set that fits in this category. And based on the filter, you can select if you want to see 3 months, or if you want to see a year's data or a week's data. And obviously, if you look back 1 day and looking at today's data, you're only going to get a point. Now, somebody might be saying, well, that's fine, but what I'd really like to do is maybe I want to see a discrete value. I drop down on the order date. We still want an exact date, but make it discrete. And we can change this to like bar values, and we can look at months value or 3 months or weekly values. Very easy to do, very simple to do. If that meets your needs, I would suggest that that's a good place to stop. We have another option, another way of doing this also. We're going to start with a parameter, and I want to use that I'm going to use in a date function. And this is just a string parameter, and I just keyed these values in. The important thing to know about this is there's 2 columns here. There's the going to be used in the calculation, and then there's the display. The value that's going to be used in the calculation has to be in work as days, weeks, months, but that value is singular and it's lowercase. You would say day, not days, or week, not weeks. The display could be anything. It's just what we're going to have in this selection here. We could make this days, for example, or we can make this weeks. As long as the value that's actually being used in the calculation is what we expect in the syntax, that's fine. Now, all we do is I've used another date function here, date trunc, which is going to return the first value in the period. So the first value in the period selected by the parameter and based on the order date. And columns. And now we can see the data in terms of months, or we can look at weeks, or we could look at days. And just like before, we can change that, and we can look at this changing from continuous value to a discrete value. We can look at discrete values. And if we wanted to see this as a bar chart, we could look at a bar chart based on weeks, months, or days. Very easy to do. Gives your user a lot more flexibility working with the dashboard. Now, and this is a question that's a little bit more complex. It does come up particularly with people with experience with Excel. If you're an Excel user, you probably know there's a chart type called combination chart or combo charts, where you can mix bar charts and line charts on the same chart. Unfortunately, we don't have that chart type in Tableau, but I'm going to show you how we can make that work. We're going to start with this stack bar chart, and I want to show you what the data looks like. Okay, and this is just data that I made up and entered into Tableau. I've got 5 sales, quantity, and the number of customers I'd like to see as bar charts. And the average customer purchase and the average selling price I'd like to see as lines on that chart. Now, if we use that as a stacked, we can do this just with measure names and measure values, as long as we're only going to use one of the lines. And I'm going to undual axis this to show you how it's done. For the bars themselves, I've used measure names and measure values. All I've done is place the measure names on filters, and I've selected the 3 measures that I want to use as bars. That's sales, quantity, and number of customers. And then I've added one of the line values that I wanted, the average selling price, and then I just use dual axis. And this works just fine, and users are usually pretty happy with that. But when we go to make a side-by-side chart is when things go bad. And if we think about it a little bit, we say, well, yeah, it's pretty obvious with chart. Our horizontal axis is a time. It's years broken down by months. And then if we wanted to get inside of that, we'd have to break that down by days. And now we're going to add in that same horizontal axis, another measure, and they really don't go together. So we have to come up with a different way of making this a side-by-side bar chart. And I'm going to go back to the data source tab and show you how we're going to do that. First, we're going to pivot the data. And just very simply, we're going to highlight the 5 columns there, and we're just going to pivot the data. Okay, and I'm just going to leave this as pivot names and pivot values because it's a little easier when you see the calculations we're going to come up with here. And we're going to go back to our chart. Okay, and this is a chart we want to create. It's a dual axis chart. Dual axis it for a second to see that what we want to do is we want to take and separate all our bars and all our lines and put them on 2 different charts. And to do that, I'm going to start with a field. This calculation does nothing more than it's going to take a look at those pivot names. And if those names are in our two, our average selling price and our average customer, we want to see those as lines, and anything else we want to see as bars. And then I can use this calculation to get our bar values. And the bar values are just simply if that calculation is bars, or we can use the same idea to get lines, and we can break our calculation down into lines and bars. We've got one other thing we got to do. We've got to come up with a calculation that we can use to create this time frame and break that time frame into increments. And I'm going to show you two ways. The first is using an index. And the calculation looks something like this. When we start breaking down months, we want each of our measures to appear like a different day of that month. So we're going to use a date function called dateAdd, and we're going to add in days, and I'm going to use an index value. And I've got this multiplier in here, and this is just for aesthetic purposes on the viz itself. We're just going to use that for spacing. And then we're going to use our min date as the base for our dateAdd. We can take that and we can add that to our columns, and we're going to increment that every time we change the pivot field name. So what we're doing is every time we go from one bar to the next bar or one line to the next bar, we're going to increment the index itself. And now all we have to do is dual axis this, and we go back and we dual axis it, and right away, but Tableau has helped us out here by putting the measure names on colors, and we really don't want that. We're chart that we wanted to create. This here, I just had to play with this. 4 happened to work out for me. You might want to see those bars separated by more than that. You could space them out to something that might look like that. I've got one other way of doing this, and what I call the brute force method, and all the separating the lines and bars works out the same way, and I'm just going to separate them again. And for the date calculation, all I've done is just force those values where I made a case statement for each one of these names. If the name sales, I want to, for the date on that I've gotten the data, quantity, let's move over 5 days, and the number of customers will move over 10 days from the original date. And then I want to put the lines in between that. We're going to use the average selling price in between the sales and the quantity at 3 days, and then the average customer purchase between the quantity and the numbers at 8 days. And if we look here, you can kind of see them lined up that way. And then we just dual axis this chart. And that's exactly what we wanted to accomplish. Now, somebody might say, hey, those aren't exact. They're not exactly where they were. Well, I'll let you in on something. They're not exact in Excel either. So it meets the needs. Aesthetically, it's what we wanted to see. Now, I know some of you, and I know many people use waterfall charts, get a lot of questions on how to make waterfall charts. They're great because they show motion. They show how metric has changed over time and how it has grown over time. So it's really great for using that. But if we just look at it, it looks like this has to be pretty difficult to make. Well, actually, it's pretty easy to make. We're going to use, we're back to Superstore data, and I'm just using the profit we're going to look at. And all I've done in this chart is I wanted to have different colors on the positive and negative values. So I just took the sum of profit greater than 0, and that's going to return a true or false. And if it's true, I'm going to color in blue, and if it's false, I'm going to color in, so that we can separate the positive and negative values. If we wanted to get this waterfall chart, we need to start by using a quick table calculation here, a running total, so we get the idea of motion. And that's kind of like what we want, but now we got to get the bottom part of each one of these items to show the increment as we go from one period to the next period. And this is where the hack comes in, if you will. We start with a bar size equal to the minus the profit. And we can just on size, and you can see it changed the size, but it didn't do what we wanted it to do until we come up and change the chart type to Gantt chart. And when we make it exactly what we wanted to see, and it's really very easy to do if we just realize that the Gantt chart and making that metric negative will provide the white space that we were looking for. Now, what the beauty of this is we can also use this with totals, and we can total the 2-year period. We can use it for subtotals. We put totals and subtotals on our chart. Really straightforward, easy to do. That I want to show you. And the first of those two examples up repeatedly, and users say, hey, I've got a chart and I've got a measure or a dimension that I want to use, and I want to filter that dimension, but I also want to see it unfiltered on the same chart. How do I go about doing that? And that's just a straightforward application of the order of operation. Now, I use this model for the order of operation. It's a 10-step model. I know other people use other models, but this is the model that I use. And if you want to see the entire discussion of the order of operation, you can go out to my blog, and I've also got it recorded, and you can download that. But what we're going to look at here for this particular example are step 3, 4, and 5 of the order of operation. And this happens to be where most users have problems. If they have problems with the order of operation, it's right here in steps 3, 4, and 5. Very straightforward. If you want a dimension to affect sets, fixed LOD, and top end, you place that dimension in context. Context filters are applied before sets, fixed LODs, and top end are calculated. Dimension filters are applied after sets, fixed LODs, and top end are calculated. So in our case here, our user wanted to have a total, a sum of total that was affected by the region filter and also not affected by the region filter. And to do that, all we did was create this fixed LOD, and it's fixed by category, the sum of sales. And those are those values in the left-hand column. The right-hand column are just sales. And I've taken region and I've placed region on filters so that it's calculated after the is determined. And you can see that if we have all regions, those values are the same. If not, the sales value changes, but the fixed LOD does not. And if we were to look at this on a dual axis chart, works the same way. If we regions are in filters, but if we look at all regions, they equal the total. If not, we now have regions filtered for part of our chart, and also involves the order of operation. And people ask this, how do I apply filters to a table calculation? And if we take a look at our order of operation calculations, are done in step 10. They're done last in the order of operation. And at that point, all filters have been applied. You know, the extract filters, the data source filters have been applied. As we just saw, context filters, dimension filters have been applied, and our measure filters have been applied. So they all affect table calculations. If we want to filter a table calculation, we have to come up with a calculation that is also a table calculation, can be applied at in the same step as step 10 of the order here. Now, the question usually comes up, it looks like this. I've got a running total, and the running total is just, you know, this value is the sum of those two values and so on, so that the total for the two, the 5-year total or 4-year total is $2.3 million, and it starts here about $14,000. And if we looked at it on a line chart or a trend chart, this is what we usually look like. And users will come in and will say, hey, I just want to see these last so many values. And if I keep those values, I don't get that $2.3 million. I get like $700,000, and this starts at 20,000. I wanted those values to remain unchanged. Well, if we look, the filter is a blue filter, a dimension filter. The dimension filter is applied right after LODs are calculated, but way before the table calculation. So it doesn't make any difference whether they use a context filter or a dimension filter. It's going to affect the table calculation. So what we can do, though, we're going to pull this off. And you've probably before, we can use a last filter. And last is a table calculation to the left. So we want to see the last 12 values.
Sorry, Jim, you froze again.
I always write this out because I'm so forgetful.
Can you just?
I froze again.
Yeah, for a few seconds.
Okay, can I?
Yes. So now it's better.
Yeah. Okay, I'm unfrozen.
Yes.
Okay.
And now explain that to us. That was very interesting.
Okay, and all we're going to show the values. Now you've seen this before, and you say, "Well, what's so? There's nothing phenomenal about that." And you're right, it's not. But I think the more interesting topic comes about. Well, what if I wanted, instead of seeing just his last 12 values, what if I wanted to see like a window in here? What if I wanted to be able to move that around back and forth so I could see whatever? And we can do that. We just do it with different table calculation, and that is using a lookup calculation. And a lookup calculation just says take the current cell and return the order date, and please don't use ATTR, and don't use an attribute. I use set here on my on columns so that we can look at any period of time that we want to look at, and then we can just apply a filter. And the filter that I've applied here is just you can select any filter, but I've just taken a range filter and I put it on there. And now we can look at any period of time, and we can look at the change over that time, and we can look at our table calculation over that time without affecting the initial start and it's just like sliding a window up and down the axis to look at any portion of that axis that we want to look at. Well, Annabelle, that's what I wanted to share with you all today.
Yes, and Jim, I have a question about that, because I know that we will have the question, why the last two steps works in terms of order of operation.
Why these last two steps work?
Yes.
And you wanted me to go back to I want to pull up the order of operation again. The order of operation, when I talk about this, is probably the single most important thing that you really have to understand when working with calculated fields, in the sense that the order of operation doesn't change. It's always consistent. And when I see problems in the order of operation or problems with users, it's usually because they're trying to do things out of sequence in the order of operation. The table calculation is calculated last. It's down here at step 10. All 9 steps have already been done for each of your worksheets. Each of your worksheets have a separate data table. So to get to the table calculation, all of the context filters, the dimension filters, and the measure filters have been applied to the data table on that worksheet. So the filters that are applied as context filters or dimension filters have already removed that data from the data table. It's not there anymore. So we get down to this table calculation, and we've used it to create this running total. And I'm going to go back to the running total. We've used it to create this running total. And now what we need to do is we want to come back and we want to apply a filter, if you will, which is not really a filter, but we want to apply a filter that allows us to look at just a portion of this chart. This show hide calculation that I use this calculation, you know, before we were talking about sets, this is like really creating sets. What we're doing here is saying if the last 12 values are, if we're looking at the last 12 values, put them in something called show, and otherwise, or else put them in something called hide. And then we're only going to look, and I'm going to put this up here again. I'm only going to look at the show values. Okay. The data table still has all those values in it. We haven't filtered out any values. We're just using this calculation to see the ones that we want to show or the ones that we want to hide. We could look at the hide values, or we could look at the shows. Without affecting the data that's in the table. We're just looking at what portion of those we want to present on the screen. Did that answer your question, Annabelle, or did I use enough time to make up for the gap you've got in the agenda today?
No, it's okay. Don't worry. No, I think that that was the explanation. That was, I mean, or at least I said that we will probably have a question about that.
Okay.
How you move into the order of operation to make visible or hiding something.
Yep.
No, it was very clear. I don't know if we have a lot of questions from the audience. We have one question. Is your workbook will be available, Jim?
Is my workbook available?
Yes.
Most excellent question. Can you still see my screen?
Yes.
Great. Yes, if you just go out to jimdehner.com, that's my blog. My blog is connected to my Tableau Public site. It's also connected to the YouTube channel. The workbook is available from Tableau Public. You can download everything you saw today. It's just sitting out there. The blog has all this written up, and the YouTube channel already has a recording for this. So yes, everything I've got out there is available.
Yeah, and we will put the different information from Jim, including the workbook link, in our YouTube channel. So
okay.
Starting tomorrow, everything will be available.
Starting tomorrow, everything's going to be available. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now.
I mean, it's already available, but...
Okay, very good.
Thank you so much, Chang, for also putting in the link. Somebody just pushed in the link for your fun ways to tackle 6.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
Okay, appreciate that. Okay. Nothing more for me. I think it's back to you.
I think just one question just popped up. For show hide running total on a chart, I have used last and a parameter to allow the user to show a specific time range. Okay. But I didn't get it. Okay, what is the question here?
Okay.
Okay,
I showed you two ways of doing it. All we're doing is creating these two groups. We're creating a show group and we're creating a hide group. I showed you one way that says, okay, let's hard code it. We're going to hard code it to 12 values, and it's going to be the last 12 values. Okay. The second way I showed you using the lookup function said, let's make that variable so that the user can select from a filter what values that they want to see, you know, a starting point and an end point. John says the Jekyll and Hyde group. We can use Jekyll and Hyde or show hide or either one. Very good, John. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good name. I will use this name next time.
Yeah. Very good. Okay. Sorry for the little breakup and confusion here. Somebody's is requesting presenter mode. I don't know who that is.
It's okay. Thank you very much, Jim. It was very insightful. I really have to scratch my head in some of your presentations. They were like very, very...
Okay, thank you. That's why some of those are very simple solutions, if you know how to do them. If you don't know how to do them, it's like trivia. It's like I have no clue. I'm just totally lost in this thing. So,
well, that's good.
so
I think it will make an excellent Tableau conference presentation, to be honest.
I keep telling you, we can do a presentation together here, Annabelle.
Sold, Jim. Sold. So let's
Cool.
go.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you very much, Jim. Varun, you can maybe unmute yourself. Yes.
Hello, hello.
Bonsoir.
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 Bonsoir. Don't expose my poor French, please.
I'm sure it's excellent.
I hope everybody can hear
share
me.
your screen
Yeah.
again to
I'll do that. Okay, so next we have the Wonder Boy, the boy genius that we used to call him when he used to work with us in Dubai. And one of the reasons I also moved to Dubai because such a great talent, such a great guy. Uh, Learned so much from him as well, from his work, so much polished work. And here we have Varun Jain. You can follow him by the handle Wiz with Varun. He is a data product developer with around 4 years of experience in analytics and data visualization. And he currently works as a business intelligence analyst at Ledger while pursuing a fancy master's degree in Paris. Is it called Paris or Paris? I don't know.
Paris or Paris in English.
Well, you can say Paris and you will not offend a lot of people.
Okay. I don't think we have a lot of audience from France, so it's fine. I can make jokes right now. Also, he's a two-time Tableau public ambassador and such great visualization. He has almost 60 visits on Tableau Public. Uh, it's a combination of business dashboards, passion projects, and you should definitely check it out because some of the solutions are really good and you would like to implement that at your workplace as well. I really recommend that. And outside of whizzing, he enjoys reading. He used to play piano as well, keyboard, but he hasn't mentioned it here. And he also makes travel plan, which never ends up happening. Okay, we would like to know more about that, Varun. And he watches endless cat videos. I never knew about that. I'll send you more reels from now on. Okay, on Instagram. And today he's going to talk about designing a winning dashboard where analytics, engineering, and UX meet. So I'll hold on here, not make more jokes, and I'll hand over to you, Varun. Thank you so much for joining us here.
Is it a conspiracy that everyone here loves cats?
They're good humans. That's why we love cats.
We love
Yeah,
animals in general. Yeah, no problem.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Too kind, almost. Okay, let me. First of all, I'm super excited to be here and talk about something. It's been a while. I've been in front of DataFam. I think last time was again at one of the TUGs that Prasan organized. So today I will be talking about one of my dashboards. And essentially what I want to focus on is a bit more conceptual. I'll tell the reason in the next slide. And just going to talk a little bit more about how analytics, engineering, and UX, they kind of come together to try to make a dashboard that is that solves problem, that is joy to use, that is that just works. So let me see if I can go to the next slide. Oops. Something broke down. Just wait a second. Sorry. Let me present again. Oh, yep. I hope you can see my screen now.
Yes, we can. Not worry.
Okay, let me try this. Cool. So funny story. I mean, initially when Annabelle asked me to present this dashboard, I said yes, and I thought I will do a pretty good demo, try to show how I built each and everything. But when I realized, when I opened the dashboard, it's been almost 3 years I've done it. I realized there's not much to exactly show because I've done a lot of prep work on the back end using some SQL programming things. And what is left is too specific to actually just show by itself because it's like super, super specific to this super specific situation. So I thought I will talk a little bit more conceptually how this dashboard come into being and what I usually do while building this dashboard and in general, any kind of project that I encounter. And hopefully you will find it helpful. So a little bit about me. I think Prasan covered almost everything. I'm a two-time public ambassador. Currently, I'm doing my master's degree and also working alongside as a BI analyst. And I started working with Tableau around the time when TC21 was happening. And Tableau has taken me across the world, literally. Like I've been to 3 continents working with Tableau, and it's super fun. And I hope I can share my joy of using Tableau with you today right now here. Okay, so what I plan to do is I will try to say what I want to say and try to go through it a little bit quickly so that if you have any question or if you want me to actually demo something, like build something, like specific part of the dashboard, I will quickly like show you. So that's the idea. So, all right. So a good dashboard is made up of three principles: engineering, analytics, UX. You have to go into this sweet spot here. Otherwise, there's always something that is lacking. For example, if you lack UX in the dashboard, it could be super analytical. It solves a lot of question. It's super snappy, but like users don't really want to open it because it just doesn't begs opening. If it's not, and if you don't focus on analytics, then it's something pretty and fast, but like it doesn't really solve the user's problem. And if you don't focus on engineering, it's an awesome dashboard, but it takes 2 minutes to load, and you'll find that nobody is using it. So essentially, what your aim should be is to focus on the sweet spot, try to take everything in mind and try to apply all these different principles to make something that just works. All right, let's talk about the dashboard. So the dashboard is called the multi-product users dashboard. I will share with you what exactly it is in the next slide, but a little bit of context. So when I was working with Binance, it's a cryptocurrency firm, but it's not that important to the discussion. Essentially, what the problem statement was that people want to understand, like, okay, we have like 5 different kind of products, and how many people use like more than one product at a time, or use one product with other product, and how that relationship helps. You can think of supermarket, like people buy eggs and dairy together, people buy snacks and drinks together. So it's essential to understand what is the relationship between people. How many people who buy drinks also buy some chips, or vice versa. It's important to design like promotional strategies, bundles, and so on and so forth. So the company that I was working with also wanted to understand this, and some of the major KPIs, so to say, was like how many users are not just using a single product, how many users use a specific bundle, which products are uh, most used in conjunction with other products. So it's a little bit complicated. It's not a standard ask like okay, what's the sales, what's the quantity, how much you are selling, what's the conversion ratio. It's a little bit involved. So I thought I should tell a little bit more about the context and about the ask before delving into the dashboard. Another thing is who the users are. So the company was not too big. So essentially there's like 300 people. It's not a huge company. So dashboard essentially was to be used from COO to like product analysts, product managers. So it needs to have both a bird's eye view and also detailed views where you can just dig down into the analytics. And finally, success criteria. This is very important to define initially. So it's nothing groundbreaking. It's like it should be easy to digest because some really high profile people with very low attention span are going to use it. It has to have robust analysis, and it has to have some kind of drill down so these product analysts can actually drive decision using this dashboard. So let's look at the dashboard directly. Let me show you from my browser. I think that is better. Yep. So I hope you can see the dashboard. So now that we know a lot about the background, I can explain to you what each of these small sections does. So on the left, we have this big KPI bar. This is essentially for those COOs and CXOs who are going to view the dashboard. They can see how many users we have, how many of users use only one product, how many of users use more than one product, and just the trend of them. Like so you can see that the users who just use one product is kind of decreasing. So maybe people are using more product at a time. So that is interesting. It has trends. It has a rolling calculation. So essentially, for every month, we want to see the past month, the past 3 months, and past 12 months. How many users how many users there are, what's their usage, and things like that. And this is essentially your bird's eye view that I was talking about before. We have a very helpful legend here. This legend tells you how to read the rest of the charts. It's a waffle chart, as I like to call it. It's also called a matrix chart, if I'm not wrong. Maybe there are other ways to call it. It's not very standard. That's why we need to explain it. So I explain it using here. So if in a matrix of in one row, the color of the box determines what product are we talking about. So for example, if you take this row, it's product A, B, C, G, E, but B and E are highlighted. So here we are talking about product B and E together, and so on and so forth. In the middle, this KPI is a little bit different than the rest. It talks about if a user is using a product A. So for example, you can say that, okay, if you're in a supermarket and your customers are buying X, how many of them are buying something else as well? So like maybe 27%, only 27% of such users are buying other products, and so on and so forth for all the other four products. And here we talk about combination, essentially what products are used together. So this is all combination of two. So A and B, B and C, C and D, blah, 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 blah. And how many users actually use these products. So 11% out of total user base use these two products together. Going on, we have for 3 products, similar kind of chart, and also all the combination of a selected product. So you want to say, okay, for product A, show me all the combinations, and I want to see how many users use each of these. Also, there's a little bit of interactivity built, like you want to see this number and how it's going in terms of like timeline. So if you want to click, you can click and choose your combination and see the trend going on. So you can see 7.05% how it's going. So it was big before, then it got down. What is happening with this one? It was very low and it got super high. What is happening with this one? And blah, 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 so on and so forth. Finally, a more complicated, another complicated insight here is how you want to look at the combination. So you might want to look at people who are using both the products at the same time, or product A or product B. So like either of those or both of them together. So this is how you can think of this as a join. It is like you join two tables. You join two conditions. You can join it by and both should be true or either should be true. So you can do that as well. So let's take a breath. It's a lot. It's very complicated. There's a lot of analytics here, and there's a lot going on. So this kind of forces us to make the dashboard more digestible, more accessible to the audience. So for that, we have a lot of text, a lot of legends, a lot of description. Even if like you, I think if you click here, I have a whole image overlay, which kind of talks about each and every section of the dashboard and explains, like, even if there's a definition, it explains the definition. It explains what these filters does, what these buttons do, what is the legend, because just because the dashboard is so complicated, we need to make sure our users actually understand it. So this is the, oops, I lost my screen. Yep, here. So this was the dashboard, what essentially it is, and it's very fast. It works. It's useful, and one of my personal favorites, because it was my first Tableau job, and I was working with this dashboard, and I made this one, and I got a very, very, very uplifting text from our CEO, who I'm pretty sure before this didn't even knew I existed. And he saw the dashboard and he was like, "Oh, this is pretty good, and good job." And I found this very helpful, and that just made my day. So that's why I call this a winning dashboard. It's not groundbreaking or anything, but it just ended up in a small personal win for me, and it's very special to me in that way. Some other things that came out of this is it helps build the foundation of how I build dashboards in general, and with some of which I'm planning to share with you all today. And yeah, and help me also work on end-to-end projects. So not just you have the data and you just put some measures on the rows and dimensions on the columns and build a dashboard. It's more about the whole end-to-end pipeline. You have to think everything from the users to data and to Tableau. Before we move forward, please interrupt me if there's any question, because it could be because it might be relevant to right now, and at the end people might forget what we talked about.
That's
So
a good
feel free.
one, Varun. We had some question from Tamara. How long did it take you to develop this dashboard? If you remember.
I don't exactly, because this was not my priority when I was doing this. I was working on some other dashboard, and my manager was like, "Yeah, this we need to do, but do it on the side." So I built it almost over like 3 weeks, I think, while doing something else, and I had the whole like ownership of it. Like, I can do anything with the data. I have all the access to the databases. It's just like they were like, go with it. We don't have anything that tells us this kind of information, so it's up to you. So 3 weeks, maybe a month, and yeah, that's it. Most of the work was done before everything came on Tableau. A lot of data work, which I will share later, because the data and the analytics is a bit complex, and the data was huge. So Tableau part was very, very, very till the end. But yeah, I should have mentioned it somewhere in the presentation. Thank you for that question. All right, moving forward, just as I said in the previous slide, like this dashboard helped me develop a kind of methodology on how to do things, because a lot of times, even if you know how to do different things, it's very difficult to start. And there's something called blank canvas syndrome. Like, you're looking at the canvas, you're staring at it, and nothing comes to you what to build. So this kind of, to avoid that dashboard developers block, if you want to say like that, this small methodology kind of helps me build things, and I hope it helps you as well. So it's essentially how to approach a dashboard. There's two approaches. So one is how to think about it and how to build it. So first, you think about the user. Who are they? What do they need? What kind of problems do they want to solve? Then you think about analytics. What insights will answer their question? What insights will solve their questions? And finally, you think about data. What data structure will enable all those insights that I want to show them? And after that, you go on the building side. You start with the data layer. You build You build the tables, you build the data marts, blah, 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 joins, relationships, whatever you want to do. Then you go to dashboard, you create the charts, you create the interactions, and so on and so forth. And finally, you finish with UI. You add all those overlays, all those extra thing that makes the user interface a bit polished and makes the dashboard a little bit good to look at. So why there's like two different things and why they are opposite? Because this came out of a bit of a trial and error, I would say. Because if you think about user and you start building with UI, eventually you'll find out, okay, this is probably not that good, and I might have to change things because I was not thinking about analytics while I was making the format or making the template, or I was not thinking how my data would be. So essentially, you think about user first because it gives you a better idea about what you want to build, and you start with data. You build with data first because it gives you a better control over the final product. You start with the foundation and build the foundation first, and then go on to the Tableau. All right, start with user. So before going forward, I will just say that a lot of this user part is probably could be new to you because it's not usually, at least not a few years earlier, usually was talked along with dashboards development. And this is something I learned from product managers and product developers, the UX philosophy. I did some courses initially, and I found that really helpful. And I think it applies to dashboards a lot. So what product managers do is their primary philosophy is they empathize with the users. They don't just so our idea is to not just like go into a meeting and collect requirements that, okay, these are the KPIs, these are the filters, these are the dimensions. Our goal is to put ourselves in the shoes of the users and think about what matters to them, what's their major pain points, even like how data literate they are, how technically proficient they are. This would moreover, you also you focus on the problems and not the charts. You don't, because users will come to them and they will say, okay, give me this table. They always want tables. This table of my sales data, but you have to deep dive a little bit, focus on their problems. Okay, what do you want? Why do you want this table? What kind of decisions you want this table to enable you to answer, and what kind of pain points is it solving? So if you focus a little bit more problems, you will get better idea about what user exactly wants. Otherwise, you will end up just delivering tables and spaghetti charts, as I like to call it. So a lot of line charts on the same axis, which doesn't help even the users, but because they don't, a lot of times they don't know that a better thing exists, that you are capable of better things, but because they never ask and we never bother, we try to do the same thing again and again. Third, it's important to listen between the lines. It's kind of built on the second one. It's the idea that I mean, you have to look beyond what users are directly asking you. You have to think about, okay, why are they asking it? What's their end goal? What do they want to solve? And also about, as I said, like data literacy and the technical aptitude. Some people are more they have more aptitude towards dashboards. They can click through, they can click the filters and all those things. But some users, they don't. They just want something that is in front of them, big numbers, trends with big labels and everything. So this is also something that you keep in mind. So if you have all this information, all this background about users, you are more better positioned to figure out what charts you want to build, because then you are not guessing, because you exactly know what they want to say, what they want to see, and what exactly helps them. So what I do is I usually create some very simple user personas, and I will talk about what it is exactly. It's very simple. It exactly says what it's written. Create user personas and think a little bit about some user stories, and also think edge cases. And I will talk a little bit about each of these super quickly. So user personas, again, something that derives directly from the UX world. It's like think of a representative user that is going to use your dashboard. So for my dashboard, it was one persona is hire management, one persona is product analyst. So for hire management, you want something that is more to the point, as I was saying before, some quick trends, some easy to understand, simple KPIs. And for product managers, you want something, or analysts, you want something that is a bit more analytical, that has drill down capabilities, that are detailed charts, so that they can get their hands dirty with the data and get more deeper insights about the business. So if you go back to the dashboard, oops, please don't look at that. That is, yep. So if you look at here, this is very, very, very detailed, and this part essentially, I would say, is for the analyst, and only this part is for the higher management who's going to use it. And because I know who are going to use this dashboard and how, I was able to separate these two areas, these two sections of the dashboards into two separate areas. That's why it's important. A lot of times in more complex dashboards, what I usually do is for each persona, I have a different tab. So if you open the dashboard, the first thing you see is something for higher management, very simple KPIs, something easy to grasp. Then you go into drill down to another tab, and it goes on for more. Those are for more detailed users. Here, I just use like left portion because that's where the eye first goes for the KPIs, and on the right side for the detailed analytics. So even if somebody who doesn't have time can get most of the insights from this part here. Moving on. User stories. So this is very powerful. And I'll tell you why, because what user story is, it's like you think like a user and you make these kind of sentences. So as a specific user, I want to do this because this. And this massively clarifies what charts you want to build. So for example, as a COO, I want to see the trend of users using more than one product over time, because it's a very for judging business, the health of the business. And once you write down this story, it clarifies, okay, it talks about the trend of users, it talks about over time. So you need to have a timeline right there. You need to have the percentage, how many percent of users are using more than one product, what kind of KPIs that are most important, and what kind of comparison context points I can give. For example, here I can give like compared to 1 month ago or 12 months ago, what is the difference, and things like that. Going on, as a manager, they say, okay, as a manager, I want to see the users of which products use the other products the most. So for this, with this, you are able to clarify a little bit, okay, what they want to see. They want to see what products enables multi-product users more. So this is your highlight. And they want to know the number of users, they want to know the product, and also maybe they want to know the trend. So that's why I built this kind of a widget that shows all of these things here. So this is also something that product managers do. They break down user pain points into these stories, and stories kind of guides each story is kind of a feature in your dashboard. You can think like that. And as many as you can write, as many as you can verify with your users, it helps you massively clarify what they want to do. So for example, somebody as an analyst want to see the rolling windows, rolling windows data time, like otherwise I would not have put this, because it's complicated. It's not useful to most people, most users of the dashboard, but it was an important user story for the analyst. So I knew that, so I had to add it, and I prepared the data for this eventuality, because I am doing all this thinking before even like going to the Tableau. Quickly, UI tweaks. This is a lot. This always talk a lot. You have to think a little bit about the users, and about making their lives easier when they open the dashboard. So you think about colors, use grays and use accent colors to divert attention. So reds and blues in my dashboard, it kind of captures attention. Okay, the red is a call to action. Red is a bad number. Blue is a good number. Blue is a highlight. You can understand a little bit You can guide the users' eyesight to these points and use them more effectively. Use white space, very standard advice. Use legends and overlay. This is important. If your dashboard is complex, or even if it's not, you don't know in which hands it will end up being, and you don't want things to be misunderstood, misinterpreted. So you try to be as clear as possible. Write down everything you want to say. Use tooltips. Use overlays. Tooltips. I am a big fan of putting as much information as possible in tooltips, and I do that. I sometimes even put like, I will talk about it. Like if I'm showing a percentage, I will put the numerator, I'll put the denominator, so that they know what they're looking at. They are not taking any wrong information from this data. And finally, build at the end. This is very hard to do. When we have a project, our instinct is to take the Excel or take the table in the Tableau and start putting fields into shelves. So resist that temptation. That's what I've learned, and I think it helps a lot, because if you think a little bit before you start building, think about the users, clarify what you want to do, maybe wireframe a little bit what you want to do, it makes the lives much, much easier at the end. That's what happened with this dashboard. It was very later in the process when I was building it, so I knew everything I want to do. So the building part just didn't take too much time, honestly. And I will show you at the end, I think, if we have time, that how to build some like waffle charts and things like that with my data. It's super, super easy. All right. And of course, keep it simple. Simple doesn't mean simplistic. Simple doesn't mean like it lacks depth. The dashboard has a lot of depth, but it's still simple enough to go through it. It's clear visual hierarchies, clear colors. No chart is there that like defeats the purpose. It's all adding up to the final insight, and no unnecessary elements, so to say. And that's it. Okay, before moving forward, is there any questions? Let me quickly see. If not, oops.
We have question. We have asked from Matt. Do you have any best practice guides you reference?
Like there's a lot written on the user interactions part of it. Like if you want to learn more about specific UI, like how to choose colors, how to choose white space and things like that, you can look up almost. I'm out of names right now, but if you search, like you can look at, for example, the I am
It's
completely
okay,
blanking out
Varun.
the
If
name,
you
but
remember
yeah.
later, you can send me some of them, and
Yes.
I will share in our YouTube channel. So don't worry.
Thank you. Yes, definitely.
Sometimes we forget the name when asked.
Yeah, exactly. It's worry. Like yeah, but I'm sure if you search about like color theory or white space and put Tableau at the end of your search query, you will find enormous number of resources. Almost everybody have wrote on this. If you want to know about this image overlay, I think Kevin V, he's done a lot of talks, and he's written a few blogs about it. And I do it in Figma. I think you can do it in PowerPoint as well. So there's that. And yeah, I think I will share all the resources to Annabelle so she can share it with you. All right. Analytics. This is where Tableau lies. And let's talk about it. So the idea here is to extrapolate what we learned in the previous section. User personas, as I said, when you know who your users are and how are they going to use the dashboard, it kind of guides your layout. Here, it guides how I will structure my KPIs on the left and the detail charts on the right. It also sometimes guides how you put some things in one page, some things in the other page, and things like that. So that's how user personas help us. User stories guide chart selection, as we talked about. If you know what exactly users want to do with your dashboard, you can create better charts. And background information guides this UI tweaks. Here, the background information is, because a lot of people are using it, you need to put as much detail as possible in the context and what exactly each number is. So that's what the UI tweaks that I did that enables more people to use this dashboard without me being there to explain them. And finally, the more you empathize with the user, the more they know about you, know about them, the more context you can put, more legends, more details, more maybe a write-up on what you can do with the dashboards. If as much as you know about users, you can put these kind of things. All right, a few pointers that I usually use. So always use KPIs for higher management. That is easy. That is classic advice. Think holistically, prune later. This is again something out of UX process. So they do what you call is brainstorming. So there's no bad ideas. Just put everything that you can think that can help the users, and then starts to think about, okay, what I can remove without taking away from the analytics. You can think about overlaps, like, okay, these two things I can merge into one chart, or I can leverage some interaction to enable this kind of these two analytics together. So you reduce your charts, you reuse your charts. But initially, you want to think analytics first. Think about whatever you want to do, all the charts that you can possibly think that solves the problem, and then try to be a uh, little bit ruthless in cutting down what doesn't really specify, which doesn't serve any user story essentially. And keep context in mind always. You need to know what users know, what they don't know before making the chart. All right, let's dig deep into each of the KPIs. So let me open the dashboard itself. I think I should have it. Oops, I don't. Okay. Anyway, so if you look at the KPIs here, it's there's a lot going on even in a single one. Like it's made up, each KPI first of all has the same design, because if you learn how to read one, you can read the rest. Each of this is made up of a placeholder. So it's min 0, it essentially brings a point into your canvas and you can put anything you want there. So I bring these placeholders and put the detail I want to. So I want to put the number of users, I want to put the change number and in the comparisons. And the trend is straightforward. It's an area chart with a line chart. I can explain any of these at the end if you want, but still pretty standard. And yeah, but it contains a lot of information. Then it's placed on the left for as we talked about. It's important because that's where the eyes first go, and you want your most important KPIs to be there. Then finally, each KPI has its own chart, own trend chart. That is important as well, that the information is together. You know the number, you want to know how the number moves, essentially. And the visual hierarchy. So that is also very important. It's more of a design thing than analytics thing, I guess. But it's like you have to arrange them in a way that the user goes through each of them in a way that you want to. You make the big number big and bold so that that's the first thing they see. Then you put the call to action or more critical numbers in colors, so red and blue, which kind of tells you if the number is good or bad. And then you kind of put the background information in gray. And yeah, the idea is to make it as quick and as clear as you can. And that's it. You can, ideally, what it should be like, if you cover this rest of the part, if your users can understand the basic idea of the dashboard, then you have succeeded. That's the part of the KPIs. Also, these legends help enormously. Not this one for this, but at least this context for these KPIs. Good design and good analytics, they are interchangeable. It's not separate. So that's also important to know, that it's not like an afterthought. Design is not an afterthought of analytics, or the vice versa. Good design enables good analytics. Here, for example, this waffle chart replaces the labels. I could have sent product A, product B, product C. It's okay in this case, but when you go into multiple combination, 2 or 3, just imagine I'm writing product A, B, C, B, C, D, E, F, G, and it's too much to learn, too much to read. But this kind of makes it a little bit more easier to peruse and get to and easier to read, essentially. Other than that, you can use accent colors, as we said, to highlight things. Like here, this one says this accent color highlights that this product is selected. If you click on the other one, this one will be colored blue and the rest will be colored gray. And also you kind of reinforce the information here. So here you say, okay, through color, you say that, okay, this is selected. Here with text, you say this is selected. And even if you hover, it will say that you are selected product A. So reinforce, and you have to build redundancy so that users always know what they're looking at. And time series, of course, provide historical context. Context is important as I think we'll as I'm not sure if I have a slide on that, but anyway, context is important because this 27% number by itself means nothing. Is it good? Is it bad? What to do with it? But if you show a trend chart with it, like how this number is moving, if you show how it moved compared to a previous historical context, or what this number is compared to its peers, this context kind of brings this 27.5% into context, that it is very low compared to other products. It's going down. So there's something wrong, something wrong's happening here. So good design and good analytics goes together. The idea is that if you make a design choice, you think that, okay, does it helps my analysis? Does it make the analysis clear or better, or is it just prettier? If it's just prettier, you don't have to spend too much time on it. You can remove it even if you want. And if you make a visualization, you think about how can I use design to make it more intuitive, that is more easy to grasp. So these two things kind of goes hand in hand. Form follow function, which is I guess contradictory compared to what I said in the previous slide. Form essentially means design, function means the actual function. But it's not contradictory, as in it's not about what is important, what is not important. Both are important. Design is important, analytics important. But the design always enables analytics. It's not the analytics is not an afterthought, essentially. So for example, here you can see this red color that I used to highlight all these different call to actions. It was a byproduct of analytics. Initially, I had like normal parameters like drop down and like select box and things like that. But eventually, it's more easier for the user to guide the user's eye with a specific color to these things so that they know, okay, this serves a specific purpose. I used a colored specific chart to enable that interaction. So this design enables my analytics a little bit better. And infused with context. So yes, that's what I was talking about. So put as much context as you can in the dashboard, specifically if it's as complicated as this. So if you hover over a bar chart, it will tell you, okay, this is the number I'm looking at. This is percentage is made up of this specific numerator and this specific denominator. If you're looking at a number, it tells you what date this number corresponds to. And if you look at what changes, this number is for 31st May, and this comparison is from 30th April. So as much context as possible. Tell the user what your interaction tells the user what the KPI means. Tell the user what they are seeing at all times. You possibly cannot put more context than necessary in a dashboard. It's impossible to do. Whatever you put somebody is going to find it useful. Tooltips are a great way to do that, and you can use this. Maybe it will not work. Oh yeah, I have to do. Yep. So you can use overlays as well. It's very elegant way of doing this without taking too much real estate. You can just reuse the same thing to guide the users and tell them what you want to tell them. Historical comparison, very important. This ratio number can be broken down into 5 different things. It's the percentage, it's the actual number, it's the change in the percentage, it's the change in the number, it's change in the percentage of the number. So different users will ask different things. Because this dashboard is for across the hierarchy, I put down everything I need to, so that anybody who's looking at it is taking away something that they need and that they found useful. And now is the time to use Tableau. What my philosophy is to push every calculation as you can on the back end. either use, you can use custom SQL if you're connected to a database. You use Excel to prepare the data beforehand. You use Tableau Prep, Alteryx, these kind of no-code tools if you're more familiar with them. But Tableau is a visualization tool. It can handle data processing. As Jim showed, it can solve some really complicated problem. But if your data is huge and you're going for efficiency, you should think about doing as much computational work as possible, of course, on the back end, and only bring the data that you need, only bring the data that helps you build your visual analytics layer over that in Tableau. Actions for drill down. So if you Tableau doesn't have like a generic drill down functionality like Power BI, so you have to use actions to use different drill downs. You can use tabs to go to a different tab. You can use go to sheet action. You can use parameter actions, which I use here as well. You can use time parameters, always important. Almost never you can get away with not having time parameters. Like you have to show them the trend by day or month or quarter or year. If you show them by day, almost always somebody's going to ask, where's my weekly chart? Where's my quarterly chart? So you can use parameters for that to build the charts to whatever granularity that the user wants. And of course, infuse chart with context as much as possible. Densification, again, it's a little bit for an advanced user. So there's a lot of ways you can use densification to do some elegant calculations. You can use that. It's interesting if you can if it makes your dashboard a little bit easy to maintain. For example, for combinations, I think you will need to do that because if you have a row level data with each product on the row, you want something to make like at least 5 rows out of one because each product can go with the rest of the 4 products. So this densification can help you make computations, or you can use brute force, like you calculate all the combinations on the back end, like I did, so that your job becomes much more easier on the Tableau side, and Tableau has less things to do. You can ignore this if you don't know what densification is. It's not that important in this context, but if you know, it's a consideration to keep in mind. All right, let's talk about data. The specifically data engineering part. A lot of you might find it boring because it kind of can be a little bit. But before that, if there's any more questions, I'm happy to answer right now before we move forward.
No question for the moment.
All right, let's move ahead. So now we know what analysis we need to do. I mean, keep in mind, we haven't really started building anything right now. We are just thinking. We thought about user, we thought about analytics, we thought about how to do the layout, we thought about what charts will be helpful. Now we want to think about how do I build the data for that. You can always just bring the whole data and try to do everything in Tableau, but sometimes it makes Tableau a little bit slower. And if you're not that much proficient with using Tableau to its maximum efficiency, it's always preferred to do some modeling in the backend, even if you're using some tools like Excel or Tableau Prep, even if not like Python or SQL, if you're not comfortable with it. It's just a tool. You can use any tool that you're more familiar with. Try to build a model that helps your analysis. But the good thing is, because we know what users want, because we thought about that before, we know what analytics, what insights they want, we know what charts they want. Now we know what exactly data model they need. So depending on how much filters and how much interactions that the user wants, you can determine what goes in the columns, how much do I aggregate the data beforehand, what do I filter for beforehand that user doesn't even need. So for example, in this dashboard, you will see there's no filters at all. Usually dashboards have like 5-6 different filters on the top to just get all the different combination, all the different drill down as much possible. But this, because I did the pre-research, I know that these numbers, for example, doesn't move too much in general. So, and it's more about looking at the business holistically, or at most on a product level. I didn't need all that different filters. So because I didn't need the filters, I didn't need to bring that level of detail into Tableau. My data has users, my data has just product level data. And it's even more efficient on the top of that, which I will show you a little bit later. But yeah, because I've done the thinking part first, I know exactly what the user wants. So I have done my data modeling in a way that enables that. I even like pre-compute the metrics that I need here, because here the numbers are small, 21,000. It's not big, but in my actual, when I was doing this, like we had millions of users that are using the platform, and daily, like it's a cryptocurrency exchange. So like there's a lot of different transactions. Think of it like a huge bank. It's a lot of transactions, a lot of users, and if you bring all that data into Tableau, it will take like 5 minutes to load. We don't want that. So yeah, the primary policy, as I said, remove as much data from Tableau as possible, bring only what's necessary, and take help of data engineers. I know a lot of it is complicated. We are not, some of us are not trained in that part, but if you're not, most of the companies have data engineers. Take their help. All right, let's talk about each of these, how to do it, essentially. So the first thing is there's always a balance between functionality and efficiency. That's what I was talking about just before. Like you can have as many filters as you can, or you can be very efficient and don't bring any filters, but you need to know where to draw the line. And the thinking part you did before helps you in that. And Tableau likes long form tables. So that means as much data in rows as possible and not a lot of columns. It's easier to do a lot of things that way. You don't have to worry about like measure names and measure values. And it gives you a lot more flexibility. So this is something to aim at. And if you're using relationships or multifact, no, that's a whole another topic. But I also find that kind of complicated to deal with, especially multifact, because you lose control over what exactly is happening. So just take care if you're using that, and always ask for help. This is complicated. If you have data engineers or somebody who's more proficient in that, learn from them. That's how you learn this. I don't think single person can be good at everything, like data engineering and Tableau, analytics, design. It's a lot to do. So ask for help. Now, how I manage the efficiency and functionality, as I was talking about, I have huge data, huge files, and it's like easily tens of millions of rows in the raw data, but I choose for minimum filtering capability. The only filtering that's happening is the rolling window and the product selection. Like if I click here, it selects the product. That's the only thing. That's the only interaction that is available in this dashboard, and also like the and or selection. And because this is the minimum filtering capability I have designed, I can go for the maximum efficiency possible to enable this capability. So what I will show you my data source, what I started with, what I ended with in the next slide. But yeah, the idea is to know what filters you need, what exact granularity you will need, and try to build for that. Here, I need rolling windows. Always use extracts if your data is, if you don't need to be real time, almost never you will need to be real time. Almost never, like 99% of situations, use extracts and create highly aggregated, pre-computed long form data sets. So if you break it down, highly aggregated, it just helps if you're not asking Tableau to do all the aggregations, especially if it's like too many count distincts, like you're counting it, because it involves like sorting operations. It takes time. It's very expensive. So if you can do as many aggregations as possible on the back end, it's great. Pre-computed, like I think Prasann will agree. In one of our projects, we pre-computed everything on the back end, everything, like all the metrics, all the KPIs, even if the change of the KPIs from previous years, everything, because sometimes you just have to do it because the dashboard is too complicated or it's too much data set. And the long form, because Tableau like long form data sets. All right, a little bit complicated, but I will go through it as clearly as I can. So this is the data set I started with. This is how transactional data generally looks like. At this time, this user used this product, and you can think of this as volume into price, like these many they bought at this price. This is transactional level, very standard data. But if you look at the data, if you bring this data directly into Tableau, it's crazy. You will be working with millions of tens of millions of rows in my case, and Tableau will need to figure out which users have which products and have to do all the calculations. There's like rolling window calculations. Every interactions, the first load, of course, will be very slow, and every interaction that is built in, every parameter you change is going to take as much time again and again to do that. So it's clearly very inefficient. So what I did was I changed it into something like this. So because we don't really care about transactions in the dashboard, it's all about users and like the date and the product they're using. So I can get my data on that level. I have a user on that day. Did they use product A? If true, is yes. Otherwise, false. And this matrix you can build. Now, this data you can bring into Tableau. It's a little bit more aggregated, but still huge, pretty huge, and slow. And it makes some charts a little bit difficult, specifically the waffle chart, because there's a lot of boxes here, and we might need to do some densification logic, like add more data, add more rows to the data set to enable this kind of a thing. So for that, I changed this data set into these highly specific two data sources. So first one is to calculate my top level KPIs. So it essentially tells you on this date, for past 30 days, this is the window, these many users used only one product. On this date, again, looking back 30 days, these many users used two products or three products, or you're looking 3 months rolling window, or last 12 months rolling window. So this is essentially. It's 21,388. Okay, I might not have this number right here, but essentially this is exactly the number you can directly get from this row. So essentially what Tableau now has to do is to find, okay, we are talking about how many products, we're talking about what date, and we're talking about what window, and just pick that value instead of doing all the different calculations here, figuring out with true and false and how many products together, and doing a count distinct of user IDs on that specific date, and do a window function with the dates. It's too complicated. Because I use some tools to convert this data into this, my KPIs are super fast, super fast. Even if you look here, there's no window calculation. It's just some users over date. That's it. That's why there's nothing to show on the Tableau side, because all the complexity is hidden in the data modeling. It's just some users over date. But here it's doing a rolling window calculation, a count distinct of users over some dates, and figuring out how many users each user is using. But Tableau doesn't know any of that. It just knows this data, and it just knows to use the sum of users over the month, and that's it. And for combinations, I use another specific data set. So that data set tells you on this date, if you use the AND join type instead of, so we have AND or, if you remember here. So if you choose the AND kind of relationship, the users who used all products looking back 30 days are these many. Or if you look at this one, okay, or maybe which one is easier to look at? Okay, maybe we can do or this line. So on this date, the number of these many users, 11,682 over the last 30 days, used either of product B, D, or E. And this makes this chart very easy, because then it's just picking out this line and seeing where the number is. Tableau doesn't have to do any calculation at all. At most, it will have to do, okay, at the current date, tell me the number. At the previous date, tell me the number, and I will subtract it. I will calculate the relative change, and that's it. This data sets makes this dashboard super snappy. Like you click and it just changes really quickly. And these are huge calculations if you do that on Tableau directly. I mean, I can't even, like, even if you change the rolling window, Tableau doesn't have to do anything. It's already pre-computed. I can't even imagine, honestly, if I do it without any of this, any of these pre-computations, this will be super, super, super slow. So yeah, the last thing I will leave you with is like use the right tool. I use Spark SQL and Python to do this. Even if you don't know it, it's a way to write SQL queries, and it's super fast. I can write a Python script, and I can ask my data engineers to just make sure that it runs every day and get the data every day and refresh, and the Tableau then refreshes the extracts. That's it. You can deep dive into the steps, but even if you don't want to, the idea is important more than what exactly I did. Or you can use Tableau Prep. Maybe not in this case. I'm not sure how difficult it will be, but it can be done definitely. Or other no-code tools. You can use custom SQL if you're more familiar with that. And yeah, the idea is to reduce computation on Tableau side as much as you can. And that's it. Use the right tools to build your foundation, and keep the analytics in mind and try to build the dashboard. Sometimes you have to like do a bit of iteration. Sometimes you think, okay, maybe this is not that good. It's making the dashboard slow. So you think about it a little bit more. Ask a data engineer, how can I make this faster? And it's just practice and practice and practice. It's a very hard skill. Hard skill as in like it's not something you can just you have to do it to learn it. It's not you just can read about it and can learn about it. So that's it. That's what I had in mind. If we have time, or if anybody wants to know, I can show them how I build the waffle charts. But as I told you, it's going to be super boring because I already have done all the calculations on the back end. So questions.
We have a question from Angela. Let me read it. She really appreciates the clean, intuitive design of your dashboard. Coming from a digital marketing, retail media product background myself, there is an ongoing debate about the trade-off between housing multiple related charts on a single page for immediate context versus using a more guided individual tab approach for focus. Could you share your specific strategy for managing information density? I know one thing you did very well is your, sorry, I have problem pronouncing like this word, truthful and creative use of interactivity. How else do you ensure users get that crucial holistic view without crossing the threshold into cognitive overload?
Oh, that's a really good question, and I can see that you thought about it a lot, and it's important because the answer would be, I'm sure you will not like it, but it depends. Ideally, your user personas, like that's how I did it. I do it usually. I think about the user personas, and then I decide if how much information I want to show on each specific tab or each specific area. So for example, here, the KPIs are not that much. So I didn't need to use a whole tab to show just the KPIs. That's why I have everything on the same tab, but also because they are very clearly separated. And even if you go here, they will to tell you that these are top level KPIs. It will give you eagle's eye. You don't have to look further. It helps. It makes a little bit of separation between the two. Of course, we can separate it more if I have more things I want to show to the first persona. But if I don't, I can keep things. You can do more things like make this enclosed a little bit more so that more eyeballs go directly to this area, so that people are just so that's the first person who's going the first time somebody is seeing the dashboard will just focus on this part rather than this part. If I take the liberty of showing another dashboard of mine, this one is something that talks to your point. This is another dashboard. It's about a funnel of onboarding. The details are not important, but this is a persona for a really high-level user to get the KPIs and some overall insights. This is still a little bit detailed, but this is what the more the top level persona wants. Even if the CEO, COO is want to look at this data, they want to look at this data in this level of detail. That's the minimum I should put on a single screen to ensure that people can get what they want on in single go. But if I want to go a little bit more deep, I can show them as much detail as I want for a specific analyst or a specific person who only deals with this kind of a thing. So it's a trade-off, of course. It's a trade-off of cognitive overload and how much and not clicking and going into a different tab and seeing the things. But you got to know your personas, your users better. How are they going to use it? That's how I usually tackle these. But a really good question. Thank you.
So thank you, Varun, for this awesome presentation. It was like very, very good and very detailed. I like your dashboard. I really like it. And then I will let Prasam conclude this event. And if we have time, maybe we have 10 minutes and people are willing, we can I can open breakout rooms, have a discussion.
Well, that will be interesting. I didn't know we do have the option of breakout rooms as well.
Do you want to conclude the event, Prasam? Because once I will open up the breakout room, I have to cancel the recording and everything. Okay. So we have to say goodbye before joining the breakout room.
Sure. So thank you so much again, Jim and Varun, for bringing in knowledge here and for such a great, insightful session today. Really enjoyed it, and I can see the comments. Definitely, everyone enjoyed it. Now, coming on to the next part, it's more about we are going to have a great event in December, and it's also about there are going to be some gifts we are going to share. And the people who have been so much consistent with our analytics tag are going to have great vouchers. So be on the lookout for that. You can already register. I can't see the next event tagged, Annabelle, this time. Is it there?
Yes, I have done it like several times, but due to people complaining, I have they pin in, but now it's pinned again.
Yeah, now it's tagged. You can actually register for the event. And apart from that, there's one more thing I wanted to talk about that's a bit separate from analytics tag, and I need all of your help to share the word. There's an initiative we have been running since last year. We had our first cohort last year that's called Tableau Buddy Sandbox. We started that as an initiative to mentor people. That starts with the competition. We are taking in some of the members. Last year it was 16. Maybe this year we are increasing the cohort by 24, most probably. And I'll just share my screen quickly. You can go to our website, and it's more of a 4 to 5 month of an accelerator program where we are going to take in some of the people who are really interested in learning Tableau and also have some intermediate skills, because it's not just about Tableau, but altogether how it all comes up. Because let's say what just Varun mentioned about, it's not just about building the charts, but also understanding how the data should be, how the design should be, and how it should all come together. That makes you an efficient and a elite data professional, and that's what we are targeting. So if you know someone who is likely to be interested, or if you are someone that wants to be there and really want to increase your knowledge, I would really appreciate you to apply, as well as share to them who can take help from this initiative. I'll share the link, and you can go through our website. You can apply directly from there. To apply, the deadline is 10th of December. You have to build a visualization from some of the data sets that we already have on our website, and use that and build a visualization, submit through our apply form. So that's one of the things. There's a lot I would like to talk about, but we are short on time. We have great mentors, and those are Tableau visionaries, ambassadors, and we also had we are going to have so many guest experts. Like Jim was also one of our guest experts from the last, or I would say the first cohort. Thank you so much, Jim, for doing that with us. So please do that. If you know someone who would really take help from this initiative, please do share, and please do apply if you think you are one of them.
And Prasam, you forgot to mention something. How much does it cost?
It just costs your time and your desire to be good, because
That's
it's a
good.
4 to 5 month of commitment. First you apply, build a visualization, then we are going to actually interview you this time. Last year we didn't interview, but this time we are going to interview for checking that if you are fit for our program. We want to see that fire in you. If you don't have that fire, I don't think we want to have you. Want to be blunt and very straight on that, because
No, but that's
it's a lot of
fantastic.
people putting in so much time here.
Exactly. That's worth mentioning. That is like you put your time and you come up for free with like a great skills. So that's good mentioning. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone. I will stop the recording now, and I will open the breakout room if you want to join your for some minutes. That's it, and I will see everyone in January, because I will not be there next month, but you will have the pleasure to have Prasam and Chimdi and great speakers. Thank you.
Thank you.